whatever. No, but I don't think they'd be better with Bochy. I think they would be probably very similar to where they're at with Bochy as opposed to Melvin.
The 30 and 33, Larry, but they need fourth place in the NL West.
They need more offense. I mean, let's look at it. They had a 2-week stretch where they went 10-2 in 12 games. What did they do? What was the difference in that stretch? They scored runs.
Yeah.
They scored runs. And so whether Matos is up or Slater's up or Matos is down or Slater's down or this guy's up, that guy's down, they need more offense. If they hit, they're going to make the playoffs. There's 3 wildcard teams in the National League. If they hit, they're going to be one of them. If they don't get any offensive help, they're not going to be one of them, and they're going to be sitting at home watching the playoffs again for what, the 6th year
and
out
nobody
of 7?
Wants that. Yeah, it's a failure if you don't make one of the wild cards.
They do not hit. They put together just the lamest lineup in the offseason. You had your entire outfield to go rebuild. They brought back Yaz. They brought back Slater. They only went to Ramos and Matos out of necessity.
Yeah.
Now they're only sticking with Ramos because he's hitting close to 300. He was on base 6 times the other day.
That was a record.
It was an incredible game last game for Ramos. But that's it. They brought up Matos. They brought up Ramos. They brought up Luciano. They started to hit the ball. They scored a bunch of runs. They won a bunch of games. And then all of a sudden, those guys came crashing back to earth. Now 2 of the 3 of them are back in the minor leagues, and they cannot hit. They don't hit enough to beat any good teams.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that, and right now that's what jumps out at you. But the rat on the table, brought to you by Atco on this Payday Friday, Larry, is they're 17th out of 30 teams in ERA when you talk about rotation. I believe it was 4.46. So along with not hitting, we'll just start with Snell. And I'm an old baseball romantic, and what I mean by that, I forget analytics. Your boy, shocker, Larry, I'm not a big analytical dude, but I think a guy like Bruce Bochy could call Blake Snell in, even though he missed spring training, and just chop it up, as they say in the streets. Have a real talk with him and maybe get a better version of Blake Snell. Now, you're looking at me, Larry, like, Goo, are you crazy? And maybe he could do the same thing to Jorge Soler. And that's why I'm in love and infatuated. I'll throw La Russa in there, the Jim Lelands, all the old school managers that forget the computer. Larry, how do we get you back to, where you're doing your best? So to me, when I heard that question, I'm like, Bruce Bochy has 4 rings, 3 with the Giants. You kicked him to the curve, I believe, went 1-1 with Texas, and it really meant I still got hella juice left. So how could I disrespect Bochy and say if he had the same team right now, even last year's team or the last couple with Gabe, they wouldn't be better? I believe conversations from the right person, leaders of men, that's who Bruce Bochy is. Larry, I would say, you know what? They would be better. How much better, I don't know, but I'd look at Snell. Case in point, Exhibit A, maybe, yeah, he's rusty. But maybe Bochy has a talk with him, goes out there for a mound visit or even a change or even after the game and is more critical of his performance than Bowmel has been. And
I don't want to hear anything more about Blake Snell and his rustiness. It's almost the 4th of July.
Boy.
I mean, here's Blake Snell. You want to go analytics? Yeah. Here's Blake Snell. 0-3 with a 9.51 ERA. That's what he's done for the Giants in 6 starts.
That's 10. Yeah.
I'm already getting ready to purchase my Red Devil fireworks for the 4th of July.
Look at it.
And I got to leave Contra Costa to do that. I can't,
be careful.
It's contraband in Contra Costa, but Alameda,
yeah,
Sacramento,
Oakland is like World War VIII.
Bring it on. So I'm getting ready to purchase my fireworks. So I'm sorry, you can lose me on the rustiness of Snell. I mean, seriously, get it together, bro.
Wow.
I mean, you're making big coin.
And it was your decision and your agent, Boris, is to fickle around. And the message I got from Snell was, I'm an OG. I'm coming off the Cy Young. When I show up and I'll get it done. But I'm with you. Is it babying of, he had great command of one pitch? And miss me with all that, Larry. It is getting old.
It's like us having terrible ratings and walking into Matt. Hey, Matt, you know what? I know the ratings were awful and I know we were 23rd, but I felt good.
Yeah, good luck with that. I felt good.
I feel good. I looked over at Evan. Evan was feeling good.
Right.
Goose feeling.
Oh, nothing to see here.
We're 27th and nobody's listening, but you know what? We feel good. I don't care how you feel.
That's a good analogy. I like that one.
The ball feels good coming out of his hands. The guy's had 2 Cy Young seasons, and the rest of his career, he's pretty mediocre. And now the Giants are seeing they're getting mediocre Snell. In my mind, I said it the other day, but get him healthy and get him the hell out of here. I mean, seriously, get him healthy, spot him in a couple.
Well, he's got an option, Larry, and if this doesn't improve this season, I know it's a long way to go. I mean, your boy ain't going anywhere if this doesn't get better, right?
Well, I mean, he's going to opt in if he pitches bad. If he pitches well, he may opt out. Right now, it looks like he's going to opt in, but I wouldn't even mess around with it. You've got an asset in a starting pitcher that's won a Cy Young, 2 Cy Youngs, that's coveted if you can get him right. So get him right, spot him a couple times in July and trade him at the end of July for a pitcher that, that can be in your rotation going forward. Because to me, that's what this season should be about for the Giants. Now, everybody looks at it differently.
Because the math is there, Larry.
They're there for the wild card. Right. If you believe in miracles, you can go with the wild card route. But more than anything, they're defensively, they don't look good. The defensive metrics don't look good. The pitching metrics don't look good. But it's the lack of offense that's many, many, many times this year I've tuned in going, are they going to score 4 runs? And
they 16 men on base. I got to give them credit. They won 9-3 their last game
to salvage one game in Arizona.
16 men on base, though, Larry. And I'm like, okay, hey, it was a win. You snapped a losing streak, and
Melvin's getting frustrated.
I'm going to throw this name at you, Mike Bassick. He gave up number 756, former Major League Baseball pitcher. He does radio, the afternoon show on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, and he joined Bonte and Shasky this morning. This caught me. I was driving in before I got the ticket. Listen to his thoughts on just what he thinks of the Giants as a team right now.
It's tricky when you don't want to pay the player what he deserves and what he's earned. That's when it gets tricky.
Egu, here we go.
It's tricky when you don't want to pay the player what he deserves and what he's earned. That's when it gets tricky.
Larry, I got a ticket. He was on Willard and Dibbs. My thumbs are big. Hold on, I'm going to get it to you. Here we go. Mike Bassick, people.
They're just another team. They're just a team in Major League Baseball that's going to play around 500. Maybe they're 5 games below at the end of the year. Maybe they're 5 games over. I think that would be honestly a good year for San Francisco. But they're just one of those teams. They're going to win some games. There's some talent there. They're not a bad team. They're not going to be in the bottom 5 or probably not even the bottom 10 of baseball teams at the end of the year. But they're not really a threat in baseball.
That was this morning. Mike Bassick on with Joe and Bonte, but they're just another team.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Larry, you're ready to pull the plug. I'm not mad. You're not the only one. Guys in the morning are upset, but good God, man.
I mean, what? Pull the plug? I mean, what are we talking about? This team wasn't even in. The only reason the Giants are in any kind of playoff situation is because they keep adding playoff teams. And the season's long, so it takes a long time to get out of playoff contention. They're going to be in playoff contention, but once again, they need a significant addition to their lineup. They need there's reason.
Larry, they went and did it. They got Soler. They went and got Jung-Hoo Lee. It's just like this dark clouds over the team.
Yeah,
Matt
Jung-Hoo
Chapman
Lee is out for the year.
Okay, he is.
Soler's going to heat up. Okay, but beyond that, they need another central bat. Now, the White Sox are shopping the Luis Robert. I'd knock on their door.
Evan had brought that up to our attention.
The Mets are shopping Pete Alonso. I'd be knocking at that door. Toronto's supposedly shopping Vladdy Guerrero Jr.
They kind of shut that down last week, though. Him and Bichette. I hear you. I got you.
We'll see. Toronto's going nowhere, right? And they've got a guy who's headed towards free agency who they may not be able to sign. Bo Bichette as well. So the Giants need a big-time middle-of-the-order bat. Now, look at their pitching.
Toronto has a better record than the Giants, by the way.
They're getting Robbie Ray back.
Yeah.
They're going to get Alex Cobb back, possibly.
Okay.
We'll see.
So
you got two middle of the rotation arms coming back. You might be able to take Keaton Wynn and Hicks and shuffle them to the bullpen. Then you would have an incredibly deep bullpen, right? Because you got Randy Rodriguez, you got Doval, you got the Rogers brothers, and now you'd be adding Wynn and Hicks to the back of your bullpen. So on paper, if Cobb and Ray come back healthy, and even that's no promotion of Carson Whisenhunt or anybody internally. If they just get those two veteran arms, that's a pretty deep rotation and a very deep bullpen. So I'm not really that concerned about the pitching, but the middle of the order is, they got a nice shot in the arm from Matos and Ramos and Luciano.
It was a nice shot. Double shot.
But now two of those guys have regressed and are back in the minor leagues, and they're once again leaning on the Yazes and the Slaters and these guys. And it's like those guys are just guys. So if they really want to, now a lot of people don't want to make the move, right? They want, keep Bryce Eldridge, keep the minor league guys. That's the future. I would say if I was Farhan, you may want to accelerate the future into the present, because is Farhan even going to be around in 3 years when Bryce Eldridge comes to the majors? Probably not. So if you could take a Bryce Eldridge and you can turn him into Luis Robert, I would do it. If you can get a big-time bat, that's what the Giants really need. They need that big bat in the middle.
Yeah, that voice you hear is Larry Krueger. He is rocking and rolling with your boy Guru right here on Steiny and Guru on a Payday Friday. We want to hear from you, 888-957-9570. And I'll just ask you guys, just like I asked Larry, would the Giants be better if Bruce Bochy was the current manager? No shade at Bo Mail, but Larry, I'm going to keep it real. I just feel like a dark cloud is hovering over this team, even with the injuries and the hammies and all that stuff that goes with it. But again, the Matos, him going down, that one, it didn't make sense to me. But they got a game. It starts tonight. You got, quote unquote, your ace, Logan Webb, 4-5 with a 2.95 ERA. And the one thing, this is not even his fault when you look at his lack of run support. But when he's on the bump, they don't win. When you got that ace, and I know baseball is so complex, man. It's not just, a pitcher could do his job and you get no run support. You don't get the win or whatnot. You could lose, but the pitcher did your job. But when I see Logan Webb penciled in tonight, I'm like, okay. But I'm like, man, that doesn't necessarily, and it hasn't been, mean an automatic win for the Giants because of what you talk about and why you're, I don't want to say upset, but why you don't like what you're seeing with the Giants and their bats.
Well, who does that fall on? Everybody's got pitching. Everybody's got a Logan Webb. You're not, and why is he struggling? He's probably struggling because he's matching up with everybody's ace. Right. So he's there. He's the Giants' one. He's matching up with everybody else's one, and they're not scoring any runs. I mean, the bottom line is you can go out there, strike out 9, walk 1, give up 2 runs, and lose 2-1. And that's happens to him. It seems like a lot. If anything, he seems almost kind of like Matt Cain. He's like the modern day version of Matt Cain in that he's really talented. Man. Is he a top 10 pitcher in baseball? No. But is he a talented pitcher that's a 1, a 2, somewhere at the top of the rotation? Yeah. But he just doesn't win because he doesn't get enough run support.
So, again, how do you fix that? And you're so confident, and you said it Monday when you're in, Larry, and I don't know if I agree. I got a bet with Steiny in regard to Soler hitting 30 home runs. So, hell yeah, I want him to get hot. But are we so sure he's going to warm up and be that bat in the middle of the lineup? And, we talk about Wilmer Flores. Got to give him credit. He hit a grand slam against Arizona. But I keep thinking about Bruce Bochy. Had they got embarrassed and swept at home by the Yankees, I'm looking at you, and I mean this, partner. There's no way in hell I believe that team, after that debacle of a weekend at home, would have lost 2 or 3 to the Snakes. So you can say, hey, Goose, you're blaming Bo Mail. No, this is his first year on the job. But when you have a steward of the game, a guy that manages with his gut and can have those difficult conversations and bring the best out of guys, Larry, I'm looking at the Giants 3 games under. I'm like, maybe they'd be 2 or 4 games over with Bochy. I don't think that's unfair.
Well, I mean, what do you mean? Are the Giants, if you really walked up to every Giants fan right now and said, are they overachieving, achieving at their talent level, or underachieving?
Underachieving.
I think they're achieving at their talent level.
Larry.
I thought the Giants, the Vegas had them at 500. So what? They're 30-33. They're hovering a little bit beneath 500. When you factor in the injuries they've had and how bad Blake Snell has been, To me, that's about par for the course. I'm not surprised at all. I mean, I thought the Giants were going to win like 75 games. So there was a 75 win type team.
Yeah, that wouldn't get you in.
And, maybe if things broke right, they could get 5 or 6 more wins and get to 500.
Well, I'll tell you this. So
I'm not surprised they're 30 and 30.
I keep saying my dad's phrase, and you can let me know if he stole it, but he hasn't done that as of yet. But don't mistake activity for achievement. Farhan Winton, he loaded the covers. He went shopping with the black card. How do you get to the deadline, which is approaching, and not follow that up? Because they got a top 10 payroll, so it's not like the Giants are not spending. It's just like you said, Wild D. Coyote, bad luck. Everything, guys are getting hurt. But my question is, it would be to Farhan, how the hell you go shopping, okay, it doesn't work, and you stop? Like, they got to give something up to get that bat or bats that you speak of, to put some thump or fear in this lineup. Could you imagine if, we fast forward the calendar a month and you don't follow up your spending spree that you did in the offseason without trying to go get a Vlad or whoever, a Pete Alonso? Like, that could be a colossal failure on Farhan's part if you don't continue to try to be active and bring something in if this offense doesn't fix itself.
Well, I mean, okay, so last year, I'm looking at 2023, the Giants went 79 and 83. So they finished 4 games under 500. Yeah. And here they are, and they are 3 games under 500.
With a different manager.
A different manager, but what exactly did they do to their team? I mean, from last year, they still have Wade at first. They still have Tyro at second.
Well, they don't have him because he's hurt, and that killed. That's a big one.
That when they put this team together, they didn't change first base. Yeah. They didn't change second base. They moved Crawford out for Nick Ahmed. That literally means they didn't change shortstop. They moved Casey Schmidt out for Chapman. Yeah. Chapman's hitting 220 or 230, whatever he's hitting.
But that glove has been spectacular.
So they're better defensively at third, and maybe a little bit offensively. They're the same behind the plate. They brought back Slater. They brought back Yaz. So this huge offensive improvement from this team that was 4 games under 500 all had to come from Casey Schmidt out, Chapman in, and whoever was in center last year out, Jung-Hoo Lee in. Jung-Hoo Lee played 40 games, done for the year, 262 average. They're basically the same team from last year offensively.
But the payroll is higher.
I mean, they've spent a bunch of money, but they didn't get any big-time proven bats. Their lineup's basically the same. So they got a little shot in the arm with Matos, a little shot in the arm with Ramos, Luciano initially. Then a couple of those guys fell back to earth. Ramos is still doing it. But it's basically the same.
So what do you
team.
prescribe? What would you do if you're Farhan now?
I would absolutely find out what 3 or 4 prospects are coveted by other teams in my farm system, and I would go get that central figure. Because you have proven it. You can't sign that guy. You couldn't get Shohei, you couldn't get Stanton, couldn't get Judge, couldn't get Harper, didn't want Correa. You can't get it done in free agency. So stop trying and go take some of your prospects in the minor leagues.
You got me thinking about Alonso.
History shows that your prospects crap out. Giants prospects get to AA and they die, or they get to AAA and they evaporate, or they become like Luciano. He's going to be an everyday shortstop, and then by the time he gets to the big leagues, you're like, well, he's not really a shortstop. Maybe he's more of a platoon left fielder.
That's a bad look.
And all of a sudden, it's like the value goes way, way down. So trade a couple of these prospects. You got Bryce Eldridge. He's ripping the Cal League. Great. Send him to Toronto for Vladdy. Send him to the Mets for Pete Alonso. Send him to the White Sox. Bring in Andrew Vaughn or Luis Robert or both.
Nice players.
And go for it right now with some guys that can help you right now. Otherwise, if you're Farhan, are you going to even be around?
Larry, to that point, he's not on a hot seat, man. That's just me. Johnson and the faceless ownership, I thought he was. I wanted him gone with Kapler, and I'm looking around. I'm reading the room, my set of eyes, and I'm like, you know what? They could not make the playoffs, and I still think he would be back here. And the one thing I will defend Farhan on, Larry, is he's not getting hurt. He doesn't have a mitt. He doesn't have a bat. The dude's got to go out there on the field and get it done. But I'll say
but
this.
he is the architect of this thing.
Well, Johnson said, you know what? He mentioned or alluded to the park being a problem on why they can't close a deal. And all we've seen this year, and Alonso is one of these guys. Schwarber, come make the park look small. A Judge, I don't even got to tell you what he did to it. Soto, all those guys came in here and just made, like, you can hit a home run at this park if you get the right guy.
The irony.
And Pete Alonso is that guy.
Yeah, the irony of ripping the park. The park is the only thing you got.
Wow.
I mean, let's be totally honest about this. What do the Giants have? The Giants have money. Why do the Giants have money? Because of the park. Because they own the park. And the park produce immense money. And the Giants last year made $421 million in revenue. And they are a top 5 revenue-generating club in the big leagues.
Fans are not happy, though,
Not
Larry.
because of Charles Johnson, because of that park. So before you sit there and badmouth your park is the only reason you're even in the game to begin with. And if the park is holding you back because of the dimensions, then change the dimensions.
When we get back, because you've went over every nook and cranny.
Seriously, what are you going to do? You're going to sit there and go, well, our park.
Well, that's what you've done. That's what you essentially have done.
Your park. So the park's been open for 25 years. If the park prevents you from getting hitters and you desperately need hitters, then change